Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about HubSpot. If you're hustling in the trenches to build a business or bootstrapping one of your own, let's talk about an AI-powered tool that can lighten up your workload a bit. HubSpot's Campaign Assistant is a game changer for creating marketing campaigns at scale. It quickly turns your key selling points into a cohesive pitch, which helps you deliver knockout emails, ads, and landing pages in minutes. So let Campaign Assistant take care of the campaigns so you can get back to growing your business. Work smarter, not harder at HubSpot.com/campaign-assistant.
Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, July 19th. I'm Mark Dent, here with Ben Berkley, and you're listening to the Hustle Daily Show. Today, we're going to be talking about WormGPT. It's a ChatGPT-esque assistant for scammers, and we're going to discuss why this chatbot with no ethical guardrails is probably not going to be the greatest thing for society. But before we get into that, let's just talk about everything else happening in the world of business and tech. Starting off, Peacock, NBC Universal streamer, is upping prices on its 22 million customers. This is its first price increase since its 2020 launch. Now, the hikes are only $1 to $2 per month, depending on the tier users subscribe to. Like most streamers, Peacock is not profitable. According to Variety, it's expected to lose $3 billion this year.
Yeah, I would note this is the latest gambit from Peacock to try to get on solid financial ground.
Right.
It cut its free tier for new users early this year. Its parent company, Comcast, stopped bundling the service with its Xfinity service. And I mean, I feel like this is just kind of the story across the streaming world.
Totally.
Most of the competition, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Max, and YouTube TV, all recently increased their prices as well. So it's a tough business. I believe only at this point Netflix is profitable.
Okay, moving on to Tesla. The automaker's board of directors will return $735 million to settle a 2020 lawsuit alleging they overpaid themselves. Still related to Tesla, nearly 4 years after its unveiling, Tesla completed its first Cybertruck, and the internet's car geeks have a lot to say about the striking new stainless steel truck. One common refrain is that the completed model appears to have a misaligned door. Also under fire, Amazon and Apple. Spain's antitrust watchdog says the two tech giants colluded to restrict competition in the Spanish electronics market. They're going to fine Amazon $56.7 million and Apple $161.4 million. Both companies disagree and will appeal.
As I was reading about this ruling, I was just really happy for all the lawyers. I feel like everyone needs something to do with their days, and it's important to have enrichment activities. And, if you're thinking about the speed of like a tech giant versus a government agency in the courtroom, that's got to be real painstaking. So Everyone's going to have just loads of work trying to fight these massive fines.
And they are happening all over Europe too.
Yes. So busy time to be a corporate lawyer. And I'm sure that's probably never not the case.
Right. Reddit is deleting all pre-23 user chats and messages as it migrates data to new servers. If you want yours back, you can request it from the company. Okay, so this is weird. Someone paid $190,000 plus for a 4 gigabyte iPhone from 2007. Still in the box. On to a story we've talked about before. Restaurant chain Taco John's has relinquished its trademark on Taco Tuesday. This follows a major legal challenge from Taco Bell to make the phrase fair game for any U.S. restaurant. Now, it is, except for in one state, New Jersey. That's where Gregory's Restaurant and Bar owns the trademark, and they are not giving up. Finally, before we start talking about ChatGPT's evil twin, here's a little fun story. It turns out that strolling through a cornfield can double as a get-rich-quick plan. Someone in Kentucky found 700 plus Civil War era gold coins in a field, amassing a collection that may be worth $1 million plus. The haul already has a nickname in the coin community, the Great Kentucky Hoard. Okay, now it is time to talk about ChatGPT's evil twin. As you're well aware, ChatGPT is all over. It's been probably the biggest tech invention, certainly in the last year and probably in the last decade. OpenAI's chatbot has around 200 million users. And as it's growing in popularity, it's also spurring new similar products that help people in different walks of life increase their productivity. But the story we're talking about now is about a walk of life that is, a little bit evil, or at least certainly a little bit unsavory. There is now a chatbot available for cyber criminals. Ben, what's going on with this new chatbot?
Oh, so much. So, I feel like I've seen so many TV shows, dozens of them, that employ the kind of like, here's the twist where it turns out there was an evil twin all along.
Yes, yeah.
And AI is kind of stealing from this playbook. And now we've got this reveal that ChatGPT, it's got an evil twin. Unlike, say, a really well-laid TV show, I think the twist isn't really all that great. Like, I think everyone could probably see this coming.
Yeah, why is that?
I mean, I think that new technology appears, people find a way to use it for nefarious purposes, and that's just kind of a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
But the thing about this story is, like, the surprise isn't that great on the evil twin. There's a lot of evil, though.
Yeah. And it's being called WormGPT.
That's correct.
Which sounds pretty evil. Like, let's be real.
Exactly. It's a good name for a bad product. So this chatbot was created by an unknown hacker. It was launched on a popular hacking forum last month. Of course, personally, I'm more on the under radar hacking forums, so I missed it. But luckily for me, I got to learn all about it today, as it's been kind of the talk of the cybersecurity world. So the tools designer calls WormGPT the biggest enemy of ChatGPT and proudly hails how it will allow users to, quote, do all sorts of illegal stuff.
Okay, and now before we get into that illegal stuff, I want to ask about that.
Yeah.
Couldn't someone potentially just ask ChatGPT to do something kind of evil for it? And again, in evil, we're not talking about like writing essays here, because you obviously can do that on ChatGPT.
This is true. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of ethical guardrails built into ChatGPT. And obviously, that's a very popular topic of how many and what form those should take. I feel like there's a lot of talk about government regulation in AI. But especially compared to, say, WormGPT, there are, a lot of rules that would prevent malicious activities and bad actors from using it to conduct illegal affairs. So I think that what you're seeing is WormGPT was built explicitly to not have any of those guardrails. And so the primary usage of this tool so far is the creation of phishing emails. So we're talking about business email compromise attacks, BEC attacks. And those are those phishing attacks that use fake personalized messages to gain access to your accounts, to your sensitive information. And, sometimes those messages aren't that convincing.
Yeah, they're usually not very good. They're full of typos. It's just a subject line that doesn't make any sense. It just randomly says something about like an invoice, or something like that. Is WormGPT going to be doing a better job at that stuff, basically?
Yeah, I think that's kind of why it's getting a lot of attention right now. It does a pretty good job creating faux messages, say, one from your boss, and then they're more likely to get people to click in. I was reading about a cybersecurity firm called /Next. They brought in a hacker to kind of put WormGPT to use. And they called the phishing emails that it was producing sophisticated. They said it was remarkably persuasive. It was strategically cunning. The grammar was overall pretty solid. And so they kind of dug into this. They tested the limits of it to make sure, okay, it says it has no ethical boundaries. Does it actually? No. It was designed for no limitations that would stop this malicious scamming usage. And so it's unfortunately very good at building products, at least theoretically. Certain scammers I saw, there's one who complained about it not being worth the money, which we can talk about in a second.
Yeah. How are people getting their hands on this thing? And are they? Like, is this thing in usage so far? Obviously, people are at least discussing it on some of these forums. How are they getting a hold of WormGPT?
So, you can find it on this forum, and it's actually something that's for sale. This is kind of one way it deviates from its free and goody two-shoes sibling ChatGPT, which is a free product, at least initially to get started. This one's a little bit more expensive. Access looks like it's around a little north of $600 per year. And I think part of the hope is that will actually help the creator of this profit. Hopefully it will also limit adoption of this tool.
Right.
And I think that's the other thing that, when the cybersecurity firm was going through this, they were really concerned because, like ChatGPT, WormGPT is relatively easy to use. And it's something that becomes quite accessible to people who have little technical know-how. cyber criminals who are less experienced could find success using this tool for some form of scam going forward. So it seems like it's a decent tool, relatively accessible for indecent people.
Right. So cybercrime is already a huge issue worldwide. We
Yes.
hear about malware attacks and things of that nature. I mean, billions of dollars in damage done every year. It just kind of seems that when AI started to really kind of rapidly progress over this last year, everyone's kind of been talking about how it's going to like upend our lives and not necessarily for the better all the time. This seems to be one of the most concrete ways yet that it could.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like this is not a great product, and it's kind of this like alarming and generally inevitable development.
Right.
But I do think that the panic at this stage wouldn't be worth it, mostly because it'll have a limited audience,
Yeah.
but also this is a known threat. I think that, as you're mentioning, particularly these like BEC email attacks, they're a very known commodity in the cybersecurity community. I think in 2021, they cost victims about $2.4 billion worldwide. So already a lot of effort going into them. And I think that one thing you might see coming up is kind of this fighting fire with fire, where there's a lot of talk about, obviously, the good that AI can do out in the world right now. Now there's things like WormGPT that talk about the bad. I think you're going to start seeing talk about how you can fight the bad with the good.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to kind of set up this showdown coming up where, as all these tools become more available and they get in the hands of bad actors, hopefully you'll see good actors finding ways to put more roadblocks in their way.
Absolutely. Well, there's definitely a lot more coming on AI and evil twins within the AI world. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for us today. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot podcast network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clarke. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, please sign up at thehustle.co/email. We'll see you tomorrow.
Let me tell you about a show that I've been loving lately. It's called Entrepreneurs on Fire. It's hosted by the incredible John Lee Dumas. It's available now on the HubSpot podcast network. Entrepreneurs on Fire stokes inspiration and shares strategies to fire up your entrepreneurial journey and create the life that you've always dreamed of. I'm a big fan of this podcast. It has energy, it has value, and it's all about learning about entrepreneurship. I was just listening to an episode the other day. JLD interviewed Jay Rogers, who was such a wealth of information. He kind of went into how entrepreneurship chooses you. You don't necessarily choose it, and that failure only happens when you stop trying to win. A lot of gems in this one, so I highly recommend checking out that particular episode along with the rest. So go listen to Entrepreneurs on Fire wherever you get your podcasts. Hey guys, if you listen to the Hustle Daily Show on Google Podcasts, we want to let you know that the option will no longer be available pretty soon. Google is sunsetting its podcast app sometime in early 2024 in favor of YouTube Music, and we want to give you a heads up before it's too late, since that time's almost here. The Hustle Daily Show is available everywhere and anywhere that you listen to podcasts, like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're using YouTube Music, we are there as well. If you're an Android fan, there are plenty of apps like Overcast, Pocket Casts, Player FM, and more. So just search for us wherever you decide to listen to your favorite podcasts.